I'm Sandy and I'm in my kitchen with Pampered Chef. When it comes to making the most of what you already have in your kitchen, I'll show you how your freezer can be your new best friend. Our freezers are often underrated tools in the kitchen. Most of us have them, but we don't all use them to their full potential. Let's dive in to see how you can use your freezer to the max. Having staples stocked in your freezer means you always have plenty to pull from for both meals and snacks. It also helps keep foods fresher for longer. But it's important to know what are the best foods to keep stocked in your freezer and what do you actually do with them.
I like to keep all like foods together in my freezer. That way it's easier to find things. It doesn't always stay perfectly organized, but that's what I strive to do. I love keeping frozen fruit in my freezer. They're great for smoothies, but so much more, even a quick cobbler or a quick fruit sauce. I have peaches, pomegranates, pineapple, mixed berries, all the good stuff. Frozen veggies. I always keep plenty of frozen veggies on hand. My favorite are broccoli, peas, corn, and spinach. And as you can see, since I have kids, there's always frozen waffles, a frozen pizza, maybe some taquitos, just because you gotta have it.
Many people wonder what's the best way to cook frozen veggies. They often default to the microwave or steaming, which are totally fine ways to cook them, but I like a little bit more texture. So I'm gonna show you how to roast them. It's so easy. So I'm just gonna season my frozen broccoli in a bowl with some oil and some garlic rub. You wanna make sure to put enough oil on them. This is gonna help flavor them and help with the browning. Any seasoning will do. A lot of times I just do salt and pepper, but today I'm feeling a little bit more adventurous. Okay, these are nice and coated. Then I have a sheet pan preheating in an oven at 425 degrees. Hear that sizzle? I'm gonna put them back into the oven for about 15 to 17 minutes. Preheating your pan before you start cooking it ensures that the broccoli is gonna start cooking immediately and it's gonna really improve that texture. Look at my broccoli. It is so roasty and toasty and it only took about 16 minutes, which is shorter than when you cook fresh vegetables. So be sure whenever you're cooking frozen veggies to adjust that cook time. So good. Isn't it the best feeling when you can make a recipe with ingredients that you already have in your kitchen? Here's one that you can make with ingredients on hand with major help from your freezer, the Zesty ravioli skillet. I'm gonna make just a couple changes. So I already have some oil heating right here in my 12-inch skillet. Nice and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and add 3 garlic cloves. You want to cook this for about 15 seconds or until all that garlicky goodness smell comes out. Whew. Smelling good. Now I have 2 cans of diced tomatoes undrained that I'm going to add to the pan. Whew. And a little bit of salt and pepper. Now the diced tomatoes really act like the liquid in this recipe, so you don't have to add any water when you're cooking your ravioli. I'm gonna cook this for just a couple minutes until it kind of starts simmering. This is such an easy way to make a simple pasta sauce with diced tomatoes, salt and pepper, and garlic. So easy and tastes a lot fresher than jarred. Okay, we're just about at a simmer. Now, this recipe calls for 24 ounces of small cheese ravioli. I could find a 16-ounce bag and then I have leftovers of another type of ravioli and I'm just gonna make it work for me. That's the joy of having your freezer stocked. Ravioli can be just so simple with a simple sauce, but I like kind of taking it to the next level and adding different ingredients and frozen veggies and really making it a real meal out of it. It's kid-friendly, family-friendly. A little bit of my other ravioli now. We'll give that a stir and cook it for about 5 minutes until the ravioli gets tender. I love ravioli because it cooks so quickly, just about 4 to 6 minutes. You can make this recipe in a skillet like I'm making right here, or even in a wok. The original recipe actually calls for the wok because it calls for fresh spinach, and fresh spinach takes up a lot of space until it's cooked down. But today I'm going to use frozen spinach, so I don't need that much space in my pan. Okay, now this ravioli is almost cooked. Now I'm going to add the half and half and let that simmer for just a couple minutes. You can use heavy cream or half and half. I love adding cream to tomato sauce. It just balances out that acidity and gives it the perfect amount of creamy taste. And it's so pretty. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my frozen spinach that I already thawed and got a lot of the water out. I actually find that adding frozen thawed spinach to certain recipes like pastas and casseroles is the best way to go, because once you get all that liquid out, then it won't release the liquid into the recipe like fresh spinach can do. Love frozen spinach. Nice pop of green color. And then I'm gonna grab some frozen peas too. I'm gonna add about a cup of peas. I love adding frozen peas to any recipe. You just add it towards the end of the cooking process because they cook so quickly. These are one of the vegetables that you don't need to thaw. Spinach is really one of the only ones that you need to thaw to get that liquid out of. Just gonna eyeball this, about a cup, however much looks right. This is looking so pretty. Just another couple minutes, and then we'll add our cheese. So a lot of people ask me if frozen fruits and veggies are just as healthy as fresh. So what happens with frozen fruits and veggies is they're picked when they're ripe, and then they're flash frozen, which helps preserve so much of those nutrients. So they're such a great option. They're also a great option for off-season fresh fruits and vegetables. That way you can enjoy any type all year round. Guys, this is seriously looking legit right now. So excited. All right, I'm gonna turn off the heat. I have about a cup of grated mozzarella. Sprinkle that on top. Ooh, Parmesan would be good in this recipe too. I love the flavors of mozzarella. Can't go wrong with a one-pot meal either too. For busy weeknights, you only have one thing to clean. Just gonna cover this with a lid and let it stand for a couple minutes. Okay, so we just let our pasta sit for a couple minutes to let that cheese melt and get all ooey gooey. Oh, looks so good. I'm gonna serve it with some of our roasted broccoli. Oh my goodness. Those frozen peas and frozen spinach really add so much color and texture and a little boost of nutrition too. So my family isn't a big fan of leftovers the next night, so freezing leftovers is a must for me. Let me show you how to freeze leftovers and some other common foods for the best results. So I have my ravioli here. I've let it cool for a while to get to room temperature. That is a really important tip, is when you're freezing leftovers, you have to make sure to cool it to room temperature. If you freeze foods when they're too hot, you could bring down the temperature in your freezer. And it also takes a lot longer for the food to freeze if it's not cooled down. I love these freezer storage containers. They are the perfect portions to freeze leftovers, just vegetables, lots of different foods. They stack really well, and they go straight into the oven to reheat. Probably my favorite part about these is there's a place to write what's inside and the date. Just gonna write ravioli, so then we know how long we can keep it. These guys are also really great for ice cream. When ice cream freezes nice and shallow in this container, it helps prevent freezer burn, helps it last longer and stay fresh. So another tip when you're freezing leftovers is to make sure you freeze them in smaller portions. This makes it so much easier to thaw them and use them again. So I just have some leftover pasta sauce that if I were to throw in the fridge would probably only last 3 or 4 days, but in the freezer much longer. And I'm gonna go ahead and add them to the freezer bowl set. I love these little cups. Now another tip when you're freezing leftover liquids, like soup, broth, or sauces, you want to allow for a little bit of room at the top because when liquids freeze, they expand. So I just let a little bit of room at the top so it'll be easy to release it when it's frozen. Throw the lid on, put it in this cute little rack, which stores so great in the freezer. One really common food people always ask me how to freeze is chicken. I know when I buy chicken at the store, I'd rather buy the value pack because you get a little bit more bang for your buck, but then I don't always use all of that chicken. So the best way to do it is to freeze it. I have some small little freezer storage bags. I'm gonna turn them inside out so I don't really have to touch the chicken. These are big pieces of chicken too. You go ahead, grab it, and then turn your bag inside out. You don't even have to touch that chicken. Always safe to wash your hands afterwards, just in case. Then you want to make sure you get as much air out of the bag as possible. And then go ahead and put it in a bigger plastic bag. Such an efficient way to do this. So a really good reason you want to freeze your chicken individually is because if you freeze it all together, it freezes into one big chunk. And then you're stuck eating chicken for days. And also if you freeze it right on the packaging, it gets stuck and it's so hard to thaw. But this way, you could just thaw your chicken pieces overnight when you're ready to use them. Or if you're in a big hurry, you can thaw them in a bowl of water. So there you go. I have chicken breasts and my date written on my bag, and I'm ready to freeze. Before I go, I wanted to show you how to freeze a few out of the ordinary foods. First one up is ginger. I don't know about you, but whenever I buy this from the store, it comes in a huge chunk and you only use just a little bit, like a teaspoon or two for a recipe. Instead of putting it back into the fridge and losing it, I like to freeze it. So it's so simple, you don't even have to peel it first. I'm just gonna cut off a little knob for my recipe and then cut the rest into small pieces. Just about the size of what you would use for a recipe. Smells so good. Okay. I love fresh ginger. It smells so delicious. So then you can just put these all together in a freezer bag. They don't tend to stick together at all. And what's nice is it's so much easier to grate once it's frozen. I already have it labeled and dated. I'm gonna press out as much air and go ahead and put it in my freezer. The other unexpected food that you can freeze is cheese. Sometimes you buy a certain type of cheese for a recipe. For example, I have pepper jack here, which is delicious, but I just don't use it on a daily basis. So you can grate your cheese and then go ahead and freeze it. So simple. Now grating it before you freeze makes it so much easier to defrost. You can just leave your cheese overnight in the refrigerator to thaw. You can leave it on the counter for about 20 minutes, or in some recipes, you can just use the frozen cheese. Once it's melted, you won't even know the difference. Just gonna press out as much air as possible. I got it labeled as pepper jack into my freezer. So now that your freezer is your new best friend, take inventory of what you already have, like right now. Organize your freezer for the most efficiency and start fresh if you need to. The next time you're shopping or planning for meals, let your freezer play a more starring role in mealtime. Thanks for watching. See you next time.